Hi, guys. Welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's Saturday, August 3rd, 2024. Hot, muggy on the Northeast. Terrible out, actually.
And we're also getting rain, I think, today too. So it ain't gonna
Yeah,
help.
yeah. So humidity is just stifling, but good thing we're inside the studio. I'm here with my partner, Elijah Weintraub. Eli, good morning.
Good morning. It's a busy week in sports. I mean, football's returned. A lot of stuff to talk about there, and all over the board. MLB's going on, and stuff to talk about from the Paris Olympics. But we have to get underway with the monologue. That's always the first thing.
And which we do. And of course, that's weekly sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summer Hill, New York. And I'm going to jump right into it because there was a documentary I watched and I debated even watching it. It was on called Charlie Hustle and the Matter of Pete Rose.
Okay.
And Pete Rose, as we all know, is banned from baseball for life.
Yes.
What I came out of it with is he's incapable, first and foremost, of telling the truth. And let me first lay the foundation here. As a young guy, even younger than you, Eli, this guy was just a great ball player. Most 4,256 hits or something to that
Okay.
effect, breaking Ty Cobb's record. So, and he won a couple World Series. I had an opportunity to see that big red machine in 1976. Unfortunately, they swept the Yankees in the 4-game series, but Steve and I were able to go to that game. That's the only World Series game I've ever been to. And it was a great team because that Reds team was an absolute dynasty for sure. But Pete Rose and this whole gambling thing, and again, this comes on the heels, as we know, and we've talked about it, Eli, time and time again, about gambling and how in bed with the FanDuels, the
Right.
DraftKings, and the rest
All of
of
them.
the
Right.
right? And it just seems completely contradictory. But I still believe that um, gambling, and certainly against his own team, and he did all that, and yet there's half the population like Mike Schmidt, Hall of Famer for the Philadelphia Phillies, absolutely loved Pete Rose, and Pete Rose came to the Phillies in 1980, and they won a World Series. But guys like Johnny Bench, maybe the best catcher of all time, um, has no use for Pete Rose because he doesn't even know what decisions he was making, whether it was for the good of the team or for the good of his pocketbook. And he's still out there hawking and signing balls and autographs, and people have short memories. But if you just looked at it as his numbers, 100% he belongs in the Hall of Fame, but you
Right.
can't bet on your own team. And so if I'm a writer and someday you and I will have a Hall of Fame vote, I'm not letting him in the Hall of Fame because the integrity of the game has been compromised. And we're seeing it across other sports, right? We saw it in basketball
Football.
already, right? And so
See.
it's a very interesting thing. And I will say this: there were great highlights from baseball of the 60s and the 70s, which was absolutely outstanding. Brought back a lot of good memories for me because I watched it all growing up. But as a character, Pete Rose is deplorable. He still is to this day. But you could see he's 81 years old. And listen, I would love for people to chime in and hear
Well,
or tell us some comments about what their thoughts about this Pete Rose situation and his lifetime ban from baseball. Send us an email at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com. Comment on us, comment on Facebook, and
yep.
um,
Or
a lot
chat
of
right
good.
us right here on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching. Uh,
Yep.
so my thoughts on this whole situation thing here is, if you're gonna bet against your own sport, or if you're gonna gamble or like nominate like a player to bet on, or your team, or just the league that you're in, I think that draws the line and should be an automatic ban to begin with. So I think that's the right call there. If to me, I think the leagues have to start changing their mindsets about betting against other leagues. For example, if I'm in the MLB, for example, and I want to bet on an NFL football game, and I'm not playing right now, I'm out of the playoff run, I'm not in, uniform, we're done for the season. You should be allowed to bet at that point because I think that's what's going to be. We're going to be seeing more and more guys continue to try to do this. So at this point, they're going to have to try to adjust the rule eventually. But if you're going to be the type of person that's going to bet against your league or your team player or teammate or team, and it's your league that you're playing in, for example, the MLB, then you should be banned or face a lot of consequences. But in terms of betting on other sports, I think they need to adjust those rules a little bit because it seems like more and more athletes are going to do this. More and more sporting bet apps are going to be coming out between the time, in the future. So this
Yeah.
all needs to change. But that's just my little thought. I think,
No, fine.
and
I mean, but here's the thing with Pete Rose. I mean, they had documents and documents and journals of books. I mean, this guy had mobsters in his
right.
locker room, and that's
And
a whole
that's a
different
sign.
story. And the thing
That's a
is,
sign that you
and
cannot
he
nominate
denied
him.
it. He denied it for 15 years, and he still denies some of the
Yep.
other accusations against him. So his character is completely flawed, but his
It changed.
baseball abilities were absolutely great.
And those little things should be, stopping you from going to like the Hall of Fame or continuing to play on with your career. And
Agreed.
right
Agreed.
choice to find all the evidence and right call there. But again, like I said, if you continue to be active and you want to bet against another league or team and you're not actively playing, I think you should have the right to bet on it. I think that rule has to change. At this point, everybody's going to want to do this, and more fines are going to come out. And they don't care, and they're gonna take it like if they just have to pay $1 off the street for a bottle of water.
Well, we got it. We got it. So I'd love some comments on this because it's a topic that's been very, very close to my, my sports history and so forth. So it's
Yes.
important that and
Yeah,
let
leave
us
us a
know.
chat right here on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching.
All right, Eli. So why don't we start off with the Olympics, right? Because the Olympics are
Yes.
underway and a lot of stuff going on, some controversy, and we talked about
Yes.
the beds and the food supplies and the
I
dirty
think we
Sin
talked about it
River.
all.
Yeah.
We talked
So
about
let's see. Probably right now you would have to say the top story is Simone Biles comes back and
Right.
wins the all around. Kind of controversial, I guess, in a sense, is she came down out of bounds on the floor exercise, but still managed
Yes.
to win the overall. But and I thought that was a great headline with when the U.S.
And
team
she's going
won
to try to win gold today too. I
right,
believe at
but
10:20ish. I want to say
right, but the whole team won the team gold medal, right? And the
right.
headline was Golden Girls. I thought that was pretty good.
Okay, that's a good headline. Yeah.
So take us through some of the other things that you noticed, you thought.
Well, currently the Olympic gold count here stands at the United States with the most medals. They lead with 19 silver, 18 bronze, and 9 gold. However, the team with the most gold right now is China at 13. That is going to continue to update along the way.
Mhm.
France is right behind the United States at 38 total medals throughout the league. This is all updating throughout the times. We have Olympic events happening all throughout. And one recommendation I saw, I don't have Peacock, but I've been hearing from a lot of people, the Peacock Gold Zone, which is the wraparound or red zone style show that shows you every Olympic coverage. Apparently, it's been really good, and everybody's saying that it's fun to watch, good commentary, and you get to see every Olympic game. You don't have to worry about switching channels or going to your next streaming platform, whatever the case is. So my recommendation is if you have Peacock, take some time, maybe try to watch Gold Zone because if you're a big Olympic person, that will be definitely a recommendation. For Team USA basketball, they've been pretty dominant so far. Won a lot of games. Today they have a 11:15 matchup around 11:15 matchup against Puerto Rico. They've also been dominating swimming, rowing, gymnastics. Team USA has been doing real good this time around in this Summer Olympics. Team USA is out, however, in the soccer matches, which we found out last night, which is
they lost
again not a
4-0
surprise because soccer's never been a big thing with the United States in terms of the men's side, not so much the women's side. And 51 gold medals are up for grab this weekend, including Simone Biles today, and as well as Katie Ledecky. So yeah, a lot.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because when we look at the Olympics overall, and a lot of it is team sport oriented, but there are significant amount. And you just mentioned Katie Ledecky, who becomes the all-time most decorated medal winner in women's Olympic history. She just got her 20th medal. She's unstoppable. I mean, and I think this is her 4th Olympics, and she's still tearing it up, right? So you got to give her a shout out. And you know what, Eli? Absolutely. There really was a really cool play that I was watching. I was watching the women's rugby team. Yes. And this girl got the ball and she ran the whole length of the field. And I
And she
mean,
did it.
you rarely see that in the game of rugby, you know,
And,
because it's
it's
unheard of.
Olympics, so you want to try hard, but you don't because it's just all
Yeah.
for fun. You're in Paris. Like, what else do you want?
No, but this was like a great thing, and these women are. I actually enjoy the sport of rugby. I've been watching a lot of it, and
Yeah.
it's exciting to me.
I
And
think
these guys are just they're bulldogs. Both
the
sides. Both.
competition starts really early, so I think that's the only like downside to this
Mhm.
Olympics. But other than that, it's been fun to watch. I enjoyed every second of it.
Well, let's actually call out a couple of people that from New Jersey, right? We got
Right,
Ethan Ramos, who's a wrestler from Hawthorne, New Jersey. He's wrestling for Puerto Rico, but he's a local guy, right? And
and he's got it.
right, and what's it? Hesley
Sony from
Rivera
Sonoma.
from the
Yep.
women's gymnastics team. She was born in Hackensack, raised in Oradell, so that's big shout out for New Jersey in the
Yeah, we're
Olympics
doing
so
pretty
far,
good so
right?
far.
Good
It's-
showing, good showing.
Absolutely.
Yep. And let's talk about this one controversy. And honestly, there's not a lot of details on it, but it was this women's boxing match, and the Italian fighter retired, in the first round, and the person that was she was boxing against was from either Albania or Algeria, one of the two.
Right.
And she had failed some drug tests, high levels of testosterone. So you have to wonder, what's going on. Is the Olympic testing legitimate? Because the IOC head of the IOC comes out and says no, she's a woman, and there's no question about it. But yet on her birth certificate, we don't know what that says. But these tests, I mean, they're supposed to make sure they're having a level playing field for these guys. And so this has been a controversy, and you and I have talked a little bit about it, about the transgender community competing against women, and there's a lot of different viewpoints on both sides of the fence. But it actually kind of came into the Olympics a little bit, and
Mm.
I think we'll find out more and more as it goes along. But that was, I think, probably one of the most controversial moments of the Olympics so far.
I don't know about the Last Supper one. I think that was the most controversial one, even though it
Which one?
wasn't. The Last Supper one was more controversial, I think.
Oh, well, we talked about that. I didn't want
Yeah.
to bring that up already.
Yeah. But we do have a comment, however, from Eric. He says, "Good morning to all, and good morning to you. And don't forget to comment for those who are watching."
Thank
And
you, Eric. Thank you.
so, yeah, it was one of those controversial moments. We have another comment. Andrew, good morning, guys. Stay cool.
You too, Andrew. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, it was a controversial moment. It's really like a tough situation. It's it's something the Olympic Committee has to decide. But you can't really say too much or have a factor
Yeah,
into it.
and you and I try
It's
not
just
to get
we
involved in the political aspect of it, but
right.
you want to make
The
sure
sports
that
are
the
changing.
playing
That's what
field
we
is
can say.
level, right?
Right,
The playing field has to be level. And
has to be level, but I think you're going to see some changes. That's what
yeah.
the least I could say. Yeah.
All right. So what do we got coming up in the Olympics this weekend? What are the
Well, we have 51 medals, as I mentioned, up for grabs this weekend. I believe Simone Biles is up for a medal at around 10:20ish, I want to say. You have men's basketball at around 11:15 today. You have some track and field to run NBC. You have some tennis happening on USA. Some fencing happening. You have boxing, basketball,
yeah.
boxing, badminton. Pretty much a lot of sports are happening. So yeah, my recommendation, just watch Gold Zone on Peacock if you have Peacock, because I think that
Yeah.
might be your best bet to watch all the Olympic action.
Well, you mentioned a couple, and the golf thing. To me, it's kind of just another tournament. It's really just
Yeah.
so whoever
But
wins
can we
that,
talk about real quick how the people in Tahiti are having like the time of their life, having like all this, surfing, the competition, they're all in Tahiti, and it's like 5-star gold, housing
Yeah.
areas, swimming on the beach. Like, isn't that the Olympic life? And then you have Colin Jost for NBC there. He's been bringing the energy. Like, I love,
Oh,
his,
me too.
I
Me
mean,
too.
it's been absolutely hilarious watching him. This is my job is the words he ends with. Like, it's been funny to watch, and like the right assignment he gets to go to Tahiti. And it's just
Yeah.
a different atmosphere that we're seeing like in Tahiti compared to what we see in Paris. Like,
And
Completely
I'm
different.
gonna tell you this because like I said, the gymnastics will be kind of done with, and now track and field's going to take front and center. And these are incredible athletes. I mean, they are just absolutely carved
Incredible.
out of stone, and they're fast. And the Olympics, the track and field stuff. I remember back in '76 when Bruce Jenner won the decathlon, and they had that great boxing team. It was the Olympic boxing team was Sugar Ray Leonard and Howard
Yeah.
Davis and Pee Wee Armstrong, and they had Leon Spinks and Michael Spinks. I mean, that was a lineup, and they all went on to dominate in the professional ranks. So I don't know. You and I kind of talked about it a little bit that boxing is kind of taking a back seat to UFC now, which I don't watch, but I'll never forget that '76 time when that Olympic boxing team, the names I just rattled off, all became great pros. Sugar Ray Leonard, perfect example.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, that's Paris for you.
Yeah. So there's so many sports that we, obviously we can't cover in this.
In such a short show, right?
Yeah. I mean, but they have a lot more events that they did. I never remember a men's women's mixed relay before. I don't remember ever seeing that. So that wondering if that's a different thing.
And they're saying I think with archery too. Like archery was a sport there, but they said now they got like a balance section where you can it's easier to throw the arrow and stuff. I think that was what we were talking about. So I think that was a change that not too many people were happy about. It's making it too easy.
But here again, look what we have. Again, we have basically a rematch of, Wimbledon with Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz playing for the gold medal. So I mean, they're the best in the business. So it's
just repeat it.
That's gold medal.
We didn't see it, the first time.
Yep. All right, so listen, stay tuned. And like I said, Eli has a recommendation. You want to pony up $6.95 for Peacock, you can get the Gold Zone, and you'll be front and center for the Olympics for the next 2 weeks.
Absolutely. I won't be getting a Peacock, but I recommend it if you have it already.
Okay.
Have it already.
All right, Eli. Let's take us to the Major League Baseball because we're in the second half. A lot of things happening. A lot of trades taking place, teams making runs. The Yankees were slumping for quite a while. They made a couple of deals, brought in Jazz Chisholm and guys like that. So they'll be okay. The ship will be righted.
I mean, I think
the Mets continue to win, right? And the Astros have gone on this winning streak. The Padres, one of the hottest teams. So what's looking forward to this down the stretch thing. We're going to find out how these trades work.
For the Yankees, I mean, I think the only thing that I've noticed positive within the week was that third base tag out on last week's Red Sox game. It was the Red Sox player was Rafael. He was off the bag just like an inch. Yankees player Cabrera comes in, tags him third base on the out. That was, I think, that was a cool moment. I think because you don't see that. You leave the bag to kind of conversation.
It's like the old hidden ball trick,
Yeah, that was pretty. I just thought that was a hilarious moment to watch for the Yankees. But yeah, right now they're 65-46 on the record. Third place. The Yankees got some catching up to do. I mean, they're
and you see how the season goes, right? The Phillies were.
It's a roller coaster ride, right?
Right. The Phillies were the best team pretty much all season. Had the best record, and the Yanks go into Philadelphia. Sweep them. They lose again last night. So, when there's peaks and valleys, which we've always said in baseball. That's why I don't get upset, when Garrett Cole gets, hit hard one day and then because he's going to come back and do it again.
It's such a long season.
A new injury, though, related. So, how they're trying to keep the actual injuries, I guess, from the public for some reason, but we've heard the term upper body fatigue. We've heard the lower body fatigue. Well, I heard one yesterday for Garrett Cole. It was called general body fatigue.
That's a new one. And what does that?
Yeah, well, that's
correlate to.
I have general body fatigue. I mean,
okay, then. All right. I mean,
anyway.
I guess
But
that's
he'll be back. He's
new
keeps him in
term.
mind.
We need a new study on that, please.
Right. So from baseball, also Blake Snell, who didn't get traded, which it was expected. Yankees were taking a good look at him. Comes back, throws his first career no-hitter. And, yep, so that happened last night.
Not much on Juan Soto, not much on Pete Alonso. Like, nothing,
But Eli, when we talk about this, the trade deadline, right? And we've already talked about it because I said the Chicago White Sox are one of the worst teams that I've seen in recent years. And so they cleaned house. They had a fire sale. They got rid of Jimenez and all the players. So, when this happens, you as a fan, you say, why am I paying this money? I mean, why am I going to go see a team that just traded away guys that could help this team, right? You're supposed to build a team. And just because you're having one bad season, they fire sale this whole thing. And like the Marlins, right? The Marlins are always the the elephant in the room because for some reason they don't go to the games down there and they don't spend money. But they had a couple of good young prospects and some players that they just traded away. So if you're a Marlins fan or you're the Marlins owner, you're only getting 15,000 at a game now. You're gonna get probably less than 10 for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't even think of it.
So, like I said, Eli, this is coming down the stretch. What do we got? About 60, maybe less than 60 games to go.
Yeah, less than about almost a month away, pretty much 2 months. Because October 1st will kick off the MLB postseason run to November 2nd. ESPN ABC will get the wildcard games from October 1st to 3rd. CBS Fox FS1 will get the rest of the playoff race for the World Series. Will be on Fox beginning October 25th. So it's coming down the stretch. It's going to get close heading to the finale. And you also have other trades happening. Tigers trade Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers, and Mets acquire outfielder Jesse Winkler to the trade to the Nationals.
Jesse Winker was always a Met killer when he played for Cincinnati. Yeah. So, and he came over and he's hitting. And they got this pitcher Blackburn they traded for. He pitched a gem for them last night. So, like I said, don't get too alarmed if your team loses a couple of games in a row because this is
right. We still have 60 more games to go, about roughly in 60 days till the first playoff game. So now is the time to hope your team starts winning because you need these games, but you don't want them to start losing a lot either.
Yep. Hey, so let's move on, Eli, to the NFL. And training camp is underway right now. Everybody got their Hard Knocks. Everybody's questioning whether Daniel Jones could be the guy, and
he's not. He's not.
Okay.
I mean, give it a Drew Lock. Like,
well, we're gonna find out.
But I'm gonna tell you that now. I mean, we saw the Hard Knocks episode. The latest was saying that they gave draft picks. The Colts and Jets offered draft picks for the first round, and they denied it. That was a pretty big shocker there.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there's a lot going on, and again, you and I have beat this horse to death about the fact that the NFL, right? They're paying offensive tackles, they're paying cornerbacks, and they're paying wide receivers. Yes. So Tristan Wirth just signs from Tampa, signs the largest contract for an offensive lineman, and the money is just. I mean, they're manufacturing it, so these guys are getting it. So that was a big signing, and that's going to set the stage, just like the Justin Jefferson signing, right? To that multi-million-dollar contract. That means CD Lamb, and now do you sign Dak Prescott if you're the Cowboys? Is he worth more than Joe Burrow, or is that just the market rate that they're going to have to pay? So these are all the moving pieces. You got to look at. Justin Herbert has a little bit of an injury. Could this be a lingering? It's one of those plantar fasciitis things, and that's always, a hard thing to recover from. But they're saying that he'll be okay and he'll start the season. But if that doesn't go well for them, I think the the backup is Easton Stick. I think, right? Did I get that right?
I believe you're right. So, right. I think they'll be okay, right?
Yeah. But you mentioned before, you brought up the kickoff rule.
Yeah,
So
we
it's a
saw it
little
the
bit
first
different.
time.
Why don't you? Can you explain, not only to our listeners but to me, what you think the intent of this kickoff rule was, and
I
whether
will.
it's
Well, here, let's start with this first. The first Hall of Fame game was the first preseason game was Thursday, 21-17 the final due to a rain delay in the third quarter, 3 minutes left, with the Bears beating the Texans. The weather was bad. I don't know. The NFL's becoming like baseball, I guess. They don't want to play in the rain. I don't know. I mean, I know it's bad, but not that bad. But in terms of the kickoff rule, I can't tell you every single detail because I don't even know on the top of my head what every single new detail is. I think
nobody does.
I think the intent of the kickoff for the whole play thing, the new rules, is basically to avoid touchbacks. I believe that's how I'm getting out of it. To avoid the touchbacks, start at the 25-yard line, and avoid injury, quote unquote, I think is the bottom line. Is it though? Because I mean, I saw the new kickoff rule on Monday, and they returned the ball, and I could see a lot more injuries spark through this new rule, and it's going to hurt players. It's not going to help them. This is really going to, I think this is not beneficial for the NFL with this new kickoff rule. I saw it Thursday night. I was not a fan of it. I just saw more injuries on the line through this new rule, and I'm confused. So are we starting at the 20 or 30? Because every time it goes past a certain area, it starts at 20, but then it starts at 30. There's so much new rules that it's really complicating the game. Now you got to think about it. Like now it's all of a big of adjustment that we now have to remember. But what happened to the old original basic style? You start at the 25 or you run the ball. Now we have to remember, do we start at the 20? Do we start at the 30? Who's going to get hurt during this? I just see this becoming a more complicated thing. I know everybody's saying they love this new rule. I see injury and more complication to the game. That's how I view it.
All right, and here's kind of my take. I think what the intent it possibly could be is they moved it up to avoid guys running it out of the end zone because you got 11 guys just full speed crashing into each other. With this new rule, if it doesn't fall into this landing zone and guys can't move until the ball is either caught or hits the ground, so there's not going to be that full force that we normally saw on traditional kickoffs. So, I mean, I think it's to add a little bit more kickoff returns, but not put them in jeopardy like the old days when guys were just coming like freight trains.
But to me, I see injury because if this is the ball, I'm going to use this as the football. If this is the football and they're kicking it this way and I'm looking straight, how am I supposed to know when the guy gets caught? Am I supposed to just look the other way? I guess. I mean, how do I, like I got to be nervous and like, holy cow, he's about to run into me. Like, that's how I view it as right now. Just real quick. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, that's how I feel. We got a demonstration now. So
this is a football.
Okay, right. You have the football. I just use this because I had no football next to me. But let's just say Jib is gonna kick it this way towards me. I'm lining up, facing it towards him. How am I supposed to know that the ball is going back if I can't turn my head to go look when that ball drops down? That's what I want to. My point is, like, now I got to be nervous. Like, okay, now if I'm not paying attention or if I fall asleep or I miss a moment, I could get hurt. I mean, I know they're professional, they're trained at this, but I just think of it from that perspective. Like, how am I supposed to know when the ball drops?
Like I said, the preseason is the intent there is just to do exactly what? To test drive it,
Yeah.
So a couple other quick things. So yes, you brought it up that was the Hall of Fame game, right? Which so the guys that we talked about last week, like Dwight Freeney and Devin Hester and Julius Peppers. So they're getting inducting. And I saw a really good piece on it. And I think I brought up that, Steve McMichael, right? It's a terrible situation. He's been battling Lou Gehrig's disease, but he kind of got overshadowed by Richard Dent and that 85 Bears defense. But I think he has the third most sacks all time from a defensive tackle. And, most of those, the Strahans and all these other guys that hold the records, they're defensive ends. So they have more opportunity. But Steve McMichael had more sacks than I really thought. So I have no problem. I know it's a tragic situation with him. He obviously can't be there, but I'm gonna give a little bit more credit to McMichael than I did in the past. And
Okay.
I don't have a problem with him going to the Hall of Fame, knowing those numbers.
Yeah.
So
All
wanted to
right.
mention that.
I got a couple other notes, and like I said, the whole
Go
kickoff
ahead.
rule. I know they're all trained for this situation for lining up and everything. I just think that's something I just thought of. Like, okay, what if you don't pay attention? What if you forget? Just those little things that just pop in my head. That's why I went
Yeah.
to do the demonstration, just to do some clarification. The other notes I'm going to bring up here first: a federal judge has overturned the NFL Sunday Ticket lawsuit, which means, sorry fans, you won't be getting any money back.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids. No money back for you.
Yeah.
Other news, the NFL is now requiring all head coaches to do in-game interviews beginning this season during the first half and the second half. Can't complain because that's kind of my job. I want to, get into that. So, can't
Okay.
say much, but I'm sure the fans and coaches are not a huge fan of that. Meanwhile, Texans defensive end Danico Autry has been suspended for 6 games after violating the enhancing drugs policy. Last week, Patriots defensive tackle Christian Barmore was diagnosed with blood clots. No return date has been announced, and we hope the best for him.
Yeah, he led the team in sacks last year, actually.
Yes, he did. Other notes, Seahawks running back Rashad Penny is retiring from the NFL. Only 28, so that's a big one there.
You know what? He was actually younger than I thought. I thought
yes.
he was probably, how old was he? 26?
28.
28, yeah.
Which is still young.
Right. Oh, so I wanted to ask you about your Seattle Seahawks. So Geno Smith
he's not the quarterback.
Sort of an injury. Huh?
He's not the quarterback. I can tell you that now. He's not the quarterback. I don't know why they traded
the quarterback.
He's not the star. I mean, he's the star quarterback right now, but I'm not going to say he's going to deliver to the team to success and victory. I'm not going to say he's.
That's a safe bet right there.
Well, that's just my thoughts, and it's a new coach, new year, so really, it's a new era in Seattle.
Yeah,
it's like you're starting new, fresh new.
Yeah.
Except you don't have a quarterback. Meanwhile, other news: Lions linebacker Taylor Decker has reached agreement for a 3-year, $60 million deal extension. Bears wide receiver DJ Moore has agreed on a 4-year, $110 million deal. So that's our headlines over at the NFL.
Right, just what we said. They're paying offensive linemen. They're
doing everything. They're paying everybody but the fans and us.
No, but they're paying the wide receivers, the cornerbacks.
Shouldn't we get paid too, Jim? Let's just make that argument. Like, shouldn't the fans get paid to watch?
Yeah, we should. But we're paying those salaries. That's the bottom line.
That's sad, that part. But yeah, but maybe they should consider that. Maybe.
Yeah. So we covered a lot of good stuff so far. So we have some random points of interest I want to jump into, and that's of course sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. And so our random points, I got a few. I know you always come with a suitcase full of those too. So I just wanted to point out that we heard, Keegan Bradley's going to be the captain of the Ryder Cup team, and he named Webb Simpson as his vice captain. So, you have a lot, these are relatively young guys. So you hope, because coming off, the disappointment from the last Ryder Cup, you hope that this is an infusion of some of the younger talent. And, Keegan Bradley himself could be a member of that Ryder Cup team, and yet he's the captain. So, I enjoy the Ryder Cup very much, and that's awesome. And just on, before we move on from golf, was Jonathan Vegas. And, he's been around. He's 40 years old, and he finally, first time he won in 7 years at the 3M Open in Minnesota last week. And he's always been a class act on the PGA Tour, and I was happy to see him win that. It came right down to the 18th hole. Couple other things. So I know you're more the NBA guy than I am, but I saw Jared Allen gets a 3-year max contract extension to stay with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, I have some guys that I talk to at work, and they think Jared Allen is at least worth that money, since everybody else is getting money, right? Emmanuel Quickly is getting $30 million a year, which is hard to believe. So that came up, and rest assured, Knicks, you're in good hands because Precious Achiuwa was signed to a 1-year contract extension.
Okay, that's good to know.
I don't think much of them, but anyway, I got a couple of other quick ones. August 2nd was yesterday, and August 2nd, Eli, in my world and a lot of people, Yankee fans in particular, was August 2nd, 1979 was the day Thurman Munson, who was our catcher and MVP in 1976, and literally he was the first Yankee captain since Lou Gehrig. We just absolutely idolized him as a player growing up, and that was the 45th anniversary of his passing, and it was a very tragic, in the same vein as Kobe Bryant, and the popularity of somebody, and I remember that day vividly. My sister coming in and telling me she was crying and said, "Did you just hear Thurman Munson died in a plane crash?" And then I started to cry. That's how impactful that was.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it's
I wanted to mention that.
Figure.
Yeah, you can't think of August 2nd, and certainly in my family's world, because we were all Yankees and we watched them growing up, and that was a big loss at the time. So want to absolutely mention that. And Eli, one other quick thing I have before you can jump in. They do some sort of a poll, right? Who's the top 100 NFL players? And I just saw it. I glanced on it this morning, and if you don't start with Patrick Mahomes, then I think that whole list loses credibility. And in this case, Tyreek Hill was selected as the number 1 player in the NFL. Great player, exciting player, fast player.
No,
Patrick Mahomes
absolutely not.
Patrick Mahomes.
He is now. I would have loved to see if Tom Brady was still in the league right now. What the comparison would be like? Who is the greatest of all time, Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady? I would love to see that comparison. But if you don't have Patrick Mahomes on the top of your list, then that's not a list. That's a fake list. I mean, bottom line, he is the greatest now of all time. As much as we cannot stand him, if you're a fan of that your team lost to the Chiefs and Mahomes, you have to give the guy credit. He is the GOAT. No, he is good. No, there's nothing you can argue. Like, he is the next GOAT.
Yep.
So yeah.
So give us some random points from your world.
Here we go. We'll start off with this. New Jersey Devils have added Chuck Fletcher, senior advisor to the president of operations and manager, Green advisor, and Andy Green advisor, and Manny Legacy will be the head goaltending scout and development coach to their hockey operations staff. So those are all the additions and the roles that I just mentioned added to their hockey operations staff. The Devils also re-signed goalie Nico Dawes to a 2-year deal. Meanwhile, Gordon Hayward is retiring from NBA basketball, which is a big name. I was
14-year career.
Yeah, so a pretty big name out there. The new Venue sports streaming app, which is like the ESPN Plus, but it's a combo of Fox, ESPN, and Warner Brothers. They'll be starting at $42.99 a month. So if you're interested, that's what it's going to be like, but it's not officially up for grabs yet. That's not a bad deal. I'll be quite honest with you, because you get all of Fox, ESPN, and Warner Brothers. Still not a bad deal. I mean,
it's not a bad deal, but you should see my cable bill already. So
that's true too. That's true.
No joke.
Right. For those who watch the news at night, Nora O'Donnell from CBS News will leave the anchor desk and the nightly news show to do other roles with the network. A new replacement and future anchor for also the political special report shows have not been announced yet, but I want to put that out there. That is a notable name that will be leaving the anchor desk, and she'll be leaving.
Well, you know what? Let me touch base with you. You mentioned Nora O'Donnell. She comes from a family of Monahans, actually.
Yes.
So, and listen, that's no big loss for CBS. Good opportunity for Maurice Dubois, who I think is an absolute pro in New York for sure. But she's had the lowest ranked 6:30 newscasts since she's been in the seat. So hopefully maybe they could turn that around.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would put David Muir, Lester Holt, then her if I had to choose.
That's the order, but that's the order. That's exactly how the ratings go. Yep.
Right, because I think that's just how it is. Right. That's the random points. A lot to cover there.
So Yeah, I got a couple of things here. The movie recommendation of the week, and of
which
course,
is also sponsored by Vital Selection. Scan the QR code to learn more.
yep. And like I said, I heard from the president of Vital Selections this week, and um, he's getting some feedback from audiences from the Sports with Mono and Mono show, and it was funny because I actually uh, Rob Russo, who's the president of Vital Selections, was up in Lake Placid, and he sent me a picture of the ice hockey arena where the 1980 Miracle on Ice games were played, and that was
Wow.
awesome. So I countered and I sent him a picture. I think I may even brought it up on the show. A member of that 1980 team was Mark Wells, and
Mm-hmm.
Mark Wells sent me a personally autographed picture of that very thing. So the irony of him being there and me having that picture was pretty cool because
That's awesome.
it's one of the greatest moments, certainly in Olympic history, maybe one of the finest moments for the United States in any sport, anytime. It was great. Yep.
Absolutely.
So my movie recommendation, and I know Eli, I can't get you to watch certain things, but and I keep telling you, James Cagney is one of my favorites. So I know I've made reference to a couple of his other movies, Public Enemy and
Yep.
Angels with Dirty Faces, but this was a later James Cagney movie called White Heat, and
Okay.
it's a great movie, and I know people, when they hear that it's in black and white, immediately say that that's not for me. But this is one of the greatest actors and entertainers of all time, and that's a great movie.
All right. Well, my pick for this week is Tuesday nights on ABC in the summer. Been actually pretty funny to watch. Yeah, Celebrity Family Feud, which always is a fun time to
Uh,
see how well celebrities know their knowledge. And then right after, you have Judge Steve Harvey, which is a funny court show. Even if you're not into the court legal stuff, just to see Steve Harvey throw jokes at the situation makes the show fun. I was never into that, but Judge Steve Harvey, though, that's a good show. So Judge Steve Harvey,
isn't
Celebrity Family
it
Feud, Tuesday nights ABC.
Isn't it funny, Eli? Like you and I have now been together over a year, and we see eye to eye on a lot of things. We don't see eye to eye on everything,
Right.
but we couldn't be more far apart on. I can't imagine why I would at least waste the remaining hours of my life watching Celebrity Family Feud or Judge Steve Harvey. Hey, listen, I love the fact that you like it, but
Ah,
you and I couldn't be farther apart. We couldn't be farther apart.
listen, I mean, there's nothing else to watch. What would you watch on a Tuesday afternoon if, let's just say, if it's non-sports? What would you watch on a Tuesday night that's not sports?
I would find something. I could paint a wall and watch it dry. How about that?
Okay. All right. I mean,
Anyway,
I'd love to hear comments about that because wow, the show's taking a turn.
yeah.
Let's
Anyway,
get to some
so
photos and videos.
yeah, a couple of quick notes. So, and I appreciate I got yeah, we got some pictures here.
Yeah.
And that's the Capitol building in DC, and it's just so majestic looking, isn't it? It just really
It's
and
something special.
you could turn 45 degrees to your right, and there's the Washington Monument. And then
Yeah.
you could turn 90 degrees and you see the Lincoln Memorial. So, I mean, this is the foundation of our country, and that's the representative, and that's what made that January 6th thing so difficult to watch.
Yeah.
But that's a great picture. I took that from the car.
That's
And
pretty
here's
good.
a
Hope you
picture
weren't
of,
driving.
yeah, and here's a picture of the Monahans. And this picture, granted, is quite old. My mother and father in this picture with my five brothers and my sister. And I don't know where this came from. It
Okay, now
came out of
my guess to see, I've been trying all week to try to figure out when you sent me this photo, which one was you. If I had to take a guess on which one was you, I'm gonna say you're the one next to the lady in the red.
that would be incorrect.
Really? Okay.
That's my brother Steve. If you're looking at
Oh,
the picture, the fat guy all the way to the left, that's me.
so the first one,
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah, the
never
fat
guessed.
guy. The
I would have
fat guy.
never. My guess was the first three on the right. That was my guesses. Don't
Yeah,
back
no, it was
out.
a good guess. But like I said,
Guess is a
I'm the
good guess.
oh, I mean, I'm the fat guy on the left. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
I said right. Anyway.
Okay, here's this one.
Grandpa, we love you so much. Say happy birthday. Happy birthday. We love you.
Now, how about that? For 14 seconds, could you get a better birthday present than that? Those are my 3 grandkids.
All right.
Oh,
That
it was very, very special. Very, very
that
special.
was a bit. Folks,
And I
do
wanted
not
to,
sign me up to do any trivia contests because I can't name which one is Chip Monahan on the photo.
exactly.
So,
Good
don't
point.
don't
Good
sign me up for
point.
no memory game challenges. I'll do like Wheel of Fortune. Don't sign me up for no
You know
memory
what,
game.
Eli? You
Match-
know what we should have done? We should have said, we're gonna post this picture, and first one to answer that which one is Jim, gets a Sportswear Mono and Mono
T-shirt, yeah.
terrible towel.
I've been telling you, I was looking at that photo the moment you sent me. I'm like, which one is him? I couldn't. I knew I was gonna get it wrong, but I didn't know that off. I was gonna be the other side of the picture.
Well, let's just put it into perspective. I can understand how you could get it wrong because that picture is almost 40 years old. So
All right. Well, it was a good try.
anyway,
I had a good,
but listen,
good laugh at it.
on the birthday theme, and I had a couple guys. I just wanted to shout. I was also August 1st was my sister-in-law Lisa's birthday, and also who's become a dear friend of mine, and he's now a loyal listener of the show, Marty Klein. So his birthday was yesterday. So happy birthday to those guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I also have, by the way, no updates so far on X on any like news updates, Olympic updates. I was checking during the random points during your segment. That's why I was looking down a little bit. So nothing, no updates, and I will continue to look out for anything. But yeah, nothing so far.
Yeah. And then we close, of course, with our notable passings. And remember, Eli, a couple of weeks ago, it was like record breaking for us. There was just a plethora of notable passings. And this week, again, these are the weeks we aim for. But one notable, and there's this isn't you wouldn't consider him a celebrity, but he was a prominent figure in American history, and it was Lieutenant William Calley, and it was notable. He was lieutenant, famous for the My Lai massacre incident in Vietnam, and it really brought to the forefront how brutal this war was and how unattainable it was to win. So he was court-martialed, and the question was, I mean, he was 80 years old now, but a lot of civilians and innocent people were killed. But absolutely. I always ask the question from a historical perspective, was he acting on orders from his superiors? And I don't think we ever got to that point, but he took the responsibility, and he was court-martialed, and he was 80 years old. So it's notable from an American history perspective in a not so positive light, but also, like I said, he was a prominent figure in American history. So.
And we do have one update, actually. Tommy Paul and Taylor Fritz won the bronze medal for men's doubles in the USA.
Okay.
So that's the only update. And it's also Tom Brady's birthday.
And I'm going to tell you, Taylor Fritz is the son of Tracy Austin, who was like a young phenom tennis player when she came up back in the 80s. So that's actually her son, which I found out a couple of weeks ago.
So yeah, those are the updates during the normal passings I've been able to pick out.
Yeah. So Eli, we covered a lot of ground.
We did.
Like I said,
and I like low week on normal passings, which I appreciate. Hopefully, it continues to be like that.
Me too. And again, like I said, we watch our progress, and we watch your development and our chemistry increasing. And like I said, I couldn't be more grateful to our audiences.
Absolutely.
That are, they're enjoying the show. I'm getting positive feedback. Our numbers are increasing every week, and
it's been good.
We're delighted about this. And we're, like I said, we're moving to different platforms now. We have some plans of how we're gonna, make some modifications to the show or whatever. And of course, we take input
in the development process.
Loyal listeners very much. and send us comments and at the Sports with Mono and Mono at Gmail. But we thank you very much because Eli and I enjoy doing this.
Absolutely. I enjoy waking up early on a Saturday morning to do the show.
Yeah, and we don't miss it. So. Right? We don't miss it. The only way I can foresee myself not being on the show wherever I am, unless it's my funeral that day, then I probably won't be able to make it.
Right. We're too far. Right.
Anyway, but listen.
Too far.
I got you. But so Eli, have a great week. Keep us posted. I know you're more the Olympic statistician than I am, but you're doing a great job with that reporting and giving the fans some idea of what stations and what time these events are taking place. Got some real positive feedback on that, so that was a good bit you did last week on that.
All
really
right.
Good.
Sounds good.
Right. So listen, everybody, thank you, and stay cool, like Andrew said, because it's hot.
It's hot. It's gonna rain, so be careful. Yeah. All right.
Well,
take care, everyone. Have a good.
Of course, it's gonna rain. Do you know why? Because I was gonna cook burgers on the grill, so of course it's gonna rain.
Right.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for joining us.
It's like it feels like April Fool's, like all the jokes today.
Hey, listen, we got to lighten it up a little bit.
Absolutely.
This was a good week.
It's a good week. All right.
We'll see you guys back here same time next week. Right?
Bye.
Have a good week. Thanks, everybody. Bye.